Hola chicos y chicas, this screencast is Verbos como gustar y encantar. In it we will learn how to use and conjugate verbs that are similar to gustar y encantar. And we'll see that comic later. Now these verbs are different than other verbs. Here is a list of the ones we're using right now. Gustar y encantar, to like and to love. Now, this is talking about things or activities. Interesar y fascinar, you might already know, can guess by them being cognates. Interesar is to interest, fascinar to fascinate. Sometimes it's like a step above encantar. Importar is to matter to someone, like no me importa is it doesn't matter to me. It kind of looks like importante, so it might also be like it's important to me or not important to me. Parecer is to seem like or to seem, sometimes also like what do you think, or if I would have said me parece bien, it's like sounds good to me, it seems good to me. So if you look at these two sentences, which one is correct? I hope that you would know that the first is correct. We would never say yo encanto. These verbs are just not conjugated like other verbs. So why? ¿Por qué? A simple way to say it is just that the person is not the object, is the object rather than the subject of the sentence. So something is being done to you, like that thing pleases you or enchants you or fascinates you or matters to you. So you're the receiver of it, even though in English we say it like I like it. So let's talk about how to form these. The first step, paso uno, is we take the pronombre de complemento indirecto. So this chart shows us the me, te, le, nos, os, les. So whoever we're talking about, then these are the pronouns that we will use at the beginning of the structure. The next step is to take the verb, el verbo en el infinitivo, and take off the R, menos la R. So for interesar, we just take off the R and it's interesa. So now we have step 3, paso tres. You take the subject of the sentence, whatever it is that you like or love or are interested by. In this case, we'll talk about physics class, la clase de física. Or we could also put a verb in front of that as the subject, like taking physics class. I love it. So, now, remember in this case that the subject can be a thing, a person, a place, an idea, an action that is pleasing or fascinating or whatever. So here are our 3 steps put together. So we take our pronombre indirecto and we'll use le in this case. So we're talking about him or her or usted. And then our second step, we take the verbo menos la R. So we'll say le interesa. So what interests him or her. And we take the subject and la clase de física. Le interesa la clase de física. So physics class interests him, or you could also use taking physics class interests him. So what about if you have a plural subject, like perhaps not just physics, but all sciences? So when the subject is plural, then the conjugation of the verb changes, and all you have to do is add an N to the end of the verb. So me fascina la clase de física. We have our 3 steps there, and all you do to make it plural is fascinan. Me fascinan todas las ciencias. All sciences fascinate me. Or sometimes fascinar is like I love. Me fascinan las ciencias. So don't forget that N there if your subject is plural. Now remember, with these, we also sometimes want to refer to or emphasize a certain person. And so we might use the personal pronouns, mi, ti, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Or we might actually use names, personal names, if we're talking about someone else in third person. So like Lola or Pepe or Juan y Rosa. And when you do this, you always need to use the preposición a at the beginning. So here's some examples when we might use those personal pronouns. In all of these cases, we would put that pronoun at the beginning to emphasize who's doing it, but we never want to forget to include the a. So, a mí me interesan las películas vaqueras. Cowboy movies, Western movies interest me. The second one, you love going shopping in Los Angeles, te fascina. A él le parece bien tu idea de ir al cine mañana. The idea of going to the movies tomorrow seems good to him. And there are some others to challenge you. So looking back at that comic from the beginning, you'll notice that these two cats sitting in the tree use those pronombres personales a mí because they're kind of both giving their opinions. And she says, I like to do everything a little bit. And he says, I like to do nothing a lot. A mí me gusta. A mí me gusta. But we know that the a mí is not really necessary. It's just to kind of give emphasis. So here's some cases where you might not be showing quite so much emphasis, and you just simply leave out the a mí, a ti, and just use that pronombre de complemento indirecto, the PCI. So, no me parece bien la discusión. The discussion doesn't seem good to me. Nos interesan las tres opciones. The three choices interest us. Os gusta comenzar las clases a las 9. You guys like to start class at 9. Les fascinan las pinturas de Picasso. They love Picasso's paintings. So in this case, in these sentences, you wouldn't need to emphasize with the a, me, or a, nosotros, because it's obvious, it's inferred, as obvio. So finally, let's look at a couple examples with proper nouns or specific people in the third person. So don't forget, with these we have to have the a. A Lola le interesan las películas vaqueras. Lola is interested by Western movies, or Western movies interest Lola. So there is one last comic to show you that uses one of these structures. See if you can figure it out. And my question for you is, ¿qué te parece? What does it seem to you? ¿Cómico o tonto? Adiós, amigos.